Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel and this amazing series. I'm Aditya. In this video, we will see how we can structure our code to make it more clean and organized. So without any further ado, let's begin. Okay, so in this case, if you see, we have a post route, which is a register route, and there we have so many rules and all those things, and it's kind of getting like too much cluttered code and it's getting difficult to read as well. We just have one API right now, which is properly done, but we have login, user delete update and projects and so many things to add, and we don't want our index.js to get cluttered like this. So what we are going to do is we will create separate file for validation, we will create separate file for this function, and we'll keep them separate and just call them over here. Okay, now if you notice, these are all like list of middlewares. We are passing them comma separated one after the others as parameters. But how can we make them in one file? Well, it's pretty simple. Let's create a new folder here, which will be validators. And in this folder, we will just have all our validators, like for register validator, or you could say it could be login validator. So all those validators. So let's write our register validator .js, and here we just export register validator, and we will export this validations. So I'll copy from here and paste them over here, but the difference being I will pass them or paste them inside array, or I will transform them into array. Now the reason being, when you put those middlewares over here, if you put them as an array, they will be considered a list of middlewares as well. So they will run one after the other. You just need to make sure that the sequence is exactly the same how it was here when we copy pasted it, or before copy pasted it. So as long as the sequence is same, it will run in the same sequence. Now, another thing, if you notice this function over here of checking if the validation exists or not, sorry, if there is a validation error or not, this is actually can be considered as another middleware. So what we are going to do is we'll take this from here and write another function here. So that would be a callback request response, and this time we need the next parameter. And here we will paste that validation check. So we will just make sure if there are no errors, we send back. So we just continue. If there are errors, we just send back the errors. So to make sure if there are no errors to continue, we will just put the next so that it will keep on continuing forward. So then it will go to this actual function over here. Now, all we need to do is get this inside our code. But before that, we also need to get these things inside that file. So from here, we can take them over here and just paste it over at the top like this. Then we can just simply get the validator. So here I could say register validator, and perfect. So we have the validator imported correctly. That's great. Now we can also make this as a different function. So let's create another folder, or not function, but in a separate class. So controllers. Here I will create a home controller which will deal with register and login routes. So here I'm going to go and create new file home controller.js. Now this, you could take it as a class or you could take it as a JSON object, depends. I'm going to take it as a JSON object. So I'm going to say exports.home controller. This will be an object, and this object will be list of functions. So here the first function would be register. So I can simply copy this from here, take this over here. This will be register function, or we can just put it first like this. Remove this. This will be a register function. And what's happening here? So what's happening here is that this request response, if you see, we are using it over here, we are using it over here as well. So what's happening is when any API request is made in Express, that request response and next are passed to each functions or middlewares that are related to that URL route. So in this case, register validator will have the same request response object that our home controller will have. So let's get the home controller over here. And from that, we need a register function. So we don't need to put brackets and pass request response like this. We just pass it as it is, because Express knows that it has to carry forward that request response to this register, which we can catch it over here. Now we need to also import certain things that we imported here. So let's take them from here and put them inside this function, sorry, this class. this file. It's not a class actually, it's just a file. You can make it as a class, but just then in that case it will differ. You just need to do new home controller dot register if you make it as a class. But if you take it as a JSON object, you just say home controller dot register. Now, if this all is set, let's give it a try. If this works, we shouldn't see any error. So if we send, okay, there's an error. That's great. So it says app crashed. Okay, so we home controller. Oh yes, we need to put double things here, also double, because we are going in outside directory. We don't need the close function because if you manually close it, you're actually degrading the SQLize performance. The reason being SQLize keeps its own pool of connections for consistent connections and it just use them temporarily. So if you close them manually, you might kind of mess up with its pool of connections, and instead of increasing the performance, you might degrade it. So if you don't close it manually correctly, so let SQLize handle everything. We will just keep it as it is. So now if we go back over here again, give it a try. There we go. Everything works fine. So we managed to properly organize it and have it just in 3 lines, have a clean API URL post request. So in the next video, we will create user routes and we will see how we can also organize them like this. So see you in the next video. Till the next time, goodbye.